It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, so y'all know what time it is. It is time for the St. Louis Hustle Podcast with your boy Cortez Hustle, my girl Michelle. Hey, and today we got a wonder-filled show lined up for you today. We're talking community police relations, right? We know that in the Black community, it seems there's always tension amongst those who are protecting and serving the community and those who are being served by them. And we've got a very special guest, Captain Clay Farmer, who's going to come on and talk about the improvements and the things that are going on. Some of the stuff that we don't know behind the scenes, man, that people are working diligently to make this marriage work, right? And we want to give the good brother an opportunity to kind of bring us up to speed with what's going on inside the departments, what's going on between the departments and the local community officials. And there's a lot of moving parts to this story. So I'm glad that we have someone dedicated to have an open, honest dialogue. So if you guys got questions, make sure y'all put them in the chat. We want to hear from you guys as well. So do us a huge favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. And let's kick it this morning.
Growing up in St. Louis has never been easy, and most say if you want to succeed here, that you must leave and put down roots somewhere else because of the strong crabs in a barrel mentality here.
I don't know if I'm just an optimistic person, but to see people like Chuck Berry and Nelly make it in the music industry, or the Roberts brothers and Dave Stewart in business, or William Lacey Clay Jr. in politics, can we blame the city, or is it that people just aren't hungry enough?
We're talking to all of the movers and shakers in this town, from entertainers to politicians, social activists and organizers, and of course, entrepreneurs.
Is there a curse on this city that holds people back? Is there an unseen hand that decides who makes it and who doesn't? You're about to find out.
Welcome to St. Louis Hustle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the St. Louis Hustle Podcast. I'm your boy Cortez Hustle. That's my girl Michelle. Hey, and today we're talking community and police relations. But I got to shout out our sponsor, man. Today's show is brought to you by Open Arms Wellness, healing mind and body. Ladies and gentlemen, just remember, you don't have to be sick to get well. Let me say that one more time. What? You don't have to be sick to get better. Go to openarmswellness.com. Give them a call at 314-329-4326. Chalet!
Man, I would just say it, and I don't want to sound like a hater. I love, but thank God, the whole Valentine's Day shenanigans is over. I got through it. Now, unlike last year, when I actually had a boo, this year I won't be a hater, you know what I'm saying? Because last year I was all with the, and all booed up. And this year, I was like, dang, fumble the ball. And so, this weekend was spent, I did have a Valentine. I was my own Valentine this year. I spent this weekend loving on myself. I spent this weekend appreciating myself and just really looking in the mirror and saying, hey, girl, hey, you are beautiful. You are talented. You is Black. You is pretty. You is intelligent. I spent a lot of time just really trying to build me this weekend. So went into my own life.
Good morning, gorgeous.
Right. I had to wake up and say that every morning.
Wake up and say, before the hair and makeup, good morning, gorgeous.
Absolutely. No lashes, no nothing. I would say this super quick because I know we got to get moving in the show, but I had this experience where I'm glad I see my beauty and I don't depend on other people to see my beauty. And so I was out minding my own business, and this young man approached me and we shared a conversation briefly, but apparently when I separated, another female walked up and she like tried to diss me to this young man or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, I got haters. I got somebody. They say when you got some haters, you're doing something right. I ain't even have on lashes and makeup. And you're hating. Really? Okay, but yeah, it'd be like that. So I don't know. That's what made me really just wrap up and just, you know what? Thank God that I didn't need no man. I let him go about his business, but I ain't need no man to or anyone to kind of put that into me. I just thank God. Thank God for Jesus.
That's huge.
Man.
That's huge.
Man.
So we this time of year is a little strange for us because my wife's birthday is on the 12th.
How's that strange? That seems like a win-win to me.
No. Then there's the 14th. So we never really do anything super huge on Valentine's, but this weekend we were in Kansas City again. We got a chance to kind of go chillax, and my son has a girlfriend, and it's interesting for this particular son because he's so committed to playing ball. That he's the one who told the young lady that
I was gonna ask you, was that him?
That's him. It's like, hey, listen, I'm married to Spalding over here.
Right.
So you and me can't be a thing. But,
like that, period.
But now he has a girlfriend, and so they're in a good relationship, and she understands his commitment is, basketball, and so we got a chance to hang out with them and her mom and her aunt who helped raise her. So went and saw him play on Saturday. He played a really good game. They ended up losing, but he did really well, and went out to dinner at 54th Bar and Grill in KC, and kind of just hung out and got to know the mom and the auntie a little bit. And
that's so cool.
So, yeah,
that's so cool.
It was dope, man. And
family.
Really so we that was kind of our prelude, and then we don't do a whole lot on Valentine's, so we just kind of sat around. But we did watch last night, "Marry Me," the new J-Lo movie, and it is hilarious. If you're into romantic comedies, people, it is a good watch. And you know what else I watched this weekend? The first 3 episodes of Bel-Air, the new version of the Fresh Prince.
I've been wanting to catch that. Like, give me your Siskel and Ebert real quick.
It's dope. It's if you listen to the original Philly, the original Fresh Prince, and in West Philadelphia, born and raised on a playground, and got into a little fight. Like, this shows what that reality probably really was like. You would think about, they showed the cream puff version,
right? They showed the yes.
He got into a fight and somebody was trying to kill him. That's why he had to move.
Right,
that version of it, and the reality of a real Black family being in a white community and being born, and all of those issues that come with having money and trying to maintain your Blackness and all. It's worth it.
Now I heard Will Smith. He's producing this, isn't he?
It's his
that's what I thought. That's what I thought was the awesome, because some people like Will Smith, some people don't. With the whole rap thing, he kind of got kicked out the rap. I like him as a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But but I think this will show. I kind of think this will show him in television maybe what he wanted to be seen as in hip hop. Right? Because in hip hop, they looked at him like, man, get out of here. But I think this will put him on the map, maybe equivalent. And I've only seen the trailer, so I still got to go back and watch it. But this may put him on the map with the equivalency of Power or one of those shows, because it's something we're familiar with, but something that's going to hit hard like that. I'm happy for him.
Like the storyline behind Carlton, Carlton and Will, even on the original, had some tension and friction.
Yeah.
They kind of go into who Carlton really is and why that friction is there. Hillary and her mom got beef, right? And they kind
really nice.
That's
so cool. I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to watch it.
Storylines and then throughout. So, but that was kind of the weekend. So y'all know what time it is. It's time for Michelle A. Word of the Day. But before we get into the Michelle A. Word of the Day, we're gonna go ahead and bring on our special guest, Captain Clay Farmer. Good, brother. Good morning, Brother Clay. How are you this morning?
Good morning, and good morning to you guys. You got me out here early. Woo. I ain't asked you. I ain't asked you. I ain't asked you.
Now
that
you bring it up,
look like you got ash on your face, but I think that's the gray beard. So I think we're gonna be okay.
Time to shave it.
All right. So before we let you get into who you are and all that you bring to the table and where you stand and your illustrious career and ascension and all of that stuff, Michelle does a version of the show every day, or a segment on the show every week called the Michelle A Word of the Day. So we're going to get into that first, just in case you want to correct Michelle on her word afterwards. And then we're going to get into who you are and all those good things. So let's get into Michelle A's Word of the Day.
And now the Michelle A Word of the Day.
Well, I tell you, showed you know how to get me riled up. I'm over here ready to fight. But I digress. Yes, it is time for the Michelle A Word of the Day, people. And today's word, we're going to talk about talents and gifts, right? And I had something come to me over the weekend, and I heard this from, again, y'all always hear me talk about my online mentor. Love this dude, Pastor Darius Daniels. I heard him say this about your gifts, right? Your gifts are like fruit that hang on the tree. And, you know, fruit on the tree, the fruit that hangs on the tree is not for the tree itself. No, the fruit that hangs on the tree is for other people to have and enjoy or to gain nourishment from, right? So it put me in the mind of the story in the Bible of the talents, you know, where there was the one master and he had 3 servants. He gave them all a little piece of something. You know, hey, I'm going to give you 10, I'm going to give you 5, I'm going to give you 1. When I come back, I'm going to need you to flip it. When we came back, the one that had 10, he doubled. The one that had 5, he doubled. But the one, he was so afraid. He was like, look, I know you don't be playing. I ain't got no time to be risking this talent. I'm going to take and bury mine. And in the end, he did nothing with his talent gift. He did nothing with it, but hid it, right? And it didn't do anything. It didn't grow. It didn't multiply. And he the one that kind of got banished a little bit. Right. So I want to just kind of set this with you this week. I want to set this with you today, that if you got talents, gifts, we may be tempted to bury them in the sand. Right. We may be tempted to let the fruit just hang on the tree and not set it out there for folks to see and obtain. But if you have fruits, gifts, talents, what are you doing with them? Put them out there for the world to see. Put them out there for others to enjoy. If you take the focus off of yourself and put the focus on somebody else, let them enjoy those things that you have to offer. There's no need to bury those things. So question, what are you doing with your fruit? What you doing with your talents? I know what I'm doing with mine. All right, so that's what I got for you today. I'm Michelle A. That's your Michelle A Word of the Day, people.
Boom. Love it, man. Listen, there's another scripture says that gift of talent will make room for you at the top to bring you before great men.
Come on.
So
Pastor Cortez has showed up. Come on, preacher.
Listen, don't get me to preaching. That's my jam right there. Listen, your gift, talent, and special abilities are designed to lead you to your purpose. And when you find your purpose, there too lies your provision.
Come on.
Seek ye first.
Come on.
I'm telling you, it's like when you start walking in that purpose, you ain't got to worry about nothing else. God don't say, listen, I created you for this thing. And when you start doing this thing, you got to figure out how to feed, clothes, and shelter yourself. No, when you start doing this thing, all of that stuff is going to be added unto you. So get into that purpose, man. So great word, Michelle. And Jeanette says great word as well. Love it.
Awesome.
All right, so we got Captain Clay Farmer hanging out with us this morning. We're talking about the relationship between police and the community, and we're gonna keep it all the way 100. We're talking about the relationship between the police and the Black community, right? I don't think any other community has a problem with their police and their community. So we're gonna get right down to the brass tacks. But we ask everybody who comes on to the show, Clay, before you we get all the way into our topic for the day. We ask everybody this one question. I'm going to ask it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Who the heck are you?
Well, like you said, man, I'm just good old Captain Clay Farmer, man. St. Louis native, of course. Everybody asks that first question: what school did you go to? Well, it was the Normandy Senior High School. Just so you know, I would have to put that out. I'm sorry that you all didn't get a chance to attend. That's okay, not your fault. Yeah, man. So I've been in a police officer for, this is actually my 22nd year doing the job. So I've been on it for a while. Worked many different units in the police department, from field operations supervisor to drugs and the detective bureau and the schools, recruitment and hiring. I've pretty much done all of that. I've taught gangs at the Eastern Missouri Police Academy. I've done that for 21 years. 21 years. So my current assignment is I'm the director of security for St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Wesley Bell, which is pretty cool, man. I've known him for a while, and so we're pretty good friends. Actually, when he wanted to hire me, I turned him down 3 times just because I wanted him to keep asking me. It made me feel good about myself. Till he called my mother. Yeah, he called my mom on me, man, and that shut it down. I said, okay, I'm in. So yeah, and I'm also his director of community engagement, which is a piece of the office that he created once he was elected, because a lot of people we found on the campaign trail didn't really know the role of the prosecutor, or didn't know, exactly what they did, and we wanted to implement the prior community engagement functions we were doing to the office, and then start some new ones, and just get out in the community and let people know that it's more than just locking people up or whatever the case may be. So and I also work for the Normandy Police Department, so I'm all over the place.
Gotcha. I love it, man. And let's just dive right in, man. When it comes to police and community relations, there's a natural tension there, and I think, and tell me your thoughts on this, and it may not be economically feasible, but there was a different story when police officers had to live in the communities that they policed, right? I think when you start bringing in folks from outside of the community and had no real connection with the community, and know that when they ended their shift, they was going 50 miles away from the community to lay their head, that they had no concerns about how they treated the people in the community. I guess to me that seems like a good place to start. So where are we with that? Is there any truth to that from your perspective as an officer? Did you ever have to at one point live in the city that you policed, and did it make a difference?
So I'm gonna show you the both. I don't really like to use sides, but I'll give you both sides of the token. That could be a great thing. That could be a great tool, because you're invested, right? You're invested in the community because you also live in the community. So on the flip side of that, in this job, of course, things change, things evolve, just like everything else that's going on in the world. That could be very dangerous at the same time. Because everybody, like you said, don't like the police, or some people may want to bring harm to your family, because you could be the officer friendly, the greatest guy in the world, but at the end of the day, sometimes you still have to take people to jail. Some people still have to go sit down, right? And if you're coming home, or not even being home, if you have a family, now I have to worry about my family being at home, right? So I definitely can see both sides. And then you have to think about, we're still human like everybody else. What about, is it a good school district that we live in? You all want your kids to go to a good school. We want our kids to go to a good school. So should we sacrifice that to live in the community, or should we be able to send them to, or live in a community where they can get a good education? So I think it's more that we should hold these officers hold officers accountable, make them a part of this community. If you're not going to be a part of this community, then you can't work here. Bottom line. I know a lot of times in our recruitment efforts or in our interviews, I ask them, you know, how much time are you willing to put in when you're not here to come back and be a part of different programs, or be a part of when the community has things going on in the day when you're not getting paid, that you're going to come back and show your face outside of your uniform and get to know these people, right? I made mandatory foot patrols, get out of that car and go talk to people, right? And people want to say, call them snitches or whatever, informant. Man, listen, you'll have people telling you information just because they know you, right? Because I've seen you walking around all the time, Cortez out cutting the grass, or, you know, Michelle out planting some flowers, and I just come up and start talking, and you'll be like, you know what, man, it's a great car that comes in and out of this house all the time. Just organic conversation, because you feel comfortable now with talking to me. So I just can't do that riding around in a patrol car all day. Now, of course, that's a necessity that we get to from point A to point B. But when at all possible, get out, walk these communities, the businesses, all that. I made the officers do business checks where they had to check your business and leave a note, who you were, what time you did it, and then I would follow up with that business the following day and say, hey, was this card, you know, on your door, blah, 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 how's everything going? So they see an officer and they get to talk to a supervisor, right? So you just have to be, well, I think doing that, you know, you don't necessarily have to live there, but if you make your officers invested in that community, you can get the same outcome.
Yeah, I like that. And I didn't think about the school districts, because I grew up in Wellston. While you claiming your Normandy, that was our rival, right? Next door. But that is right. You know, you want your family to be safe. You want them to have the amenities that you feel that you're working so hard for. And that's what you're going to work for, and your paycheck is for. But yeah, I think we're both saying the same thing, that these officers have to be vested in the community, though, and they have to get to know the people, and then also allow the people to get to know them. So that there is no question of, like, if I know you are a good dude and you had, God forbid, to come lock one of my sons up, it's like my son had to be tripping, because Captain Clay is a good dude. Like there's no way he's coming to just harass my kid, because that's not his character. But if you ghosting in the community, and man, I don't know, you need to get your hands off my son, right?
Right. I tell the recruits and people in the community, the badge gives you authority, but your character and integrity gets you respect. So
absolutely.
If you rock like that, man, you won't have an issue for the most part, right? Yeah.
Just real quick, you mentioned in regards to, you know, making them get out and do those foot patrols. From a standpoint of, I think, and like you said, you got to get from A to B, but I can see the enhancement in community, because sometimes the fear is out there, it's real. The fear of the police, just seeing them cruise by in a squad car, it sometimes puts the fear, especially in I guess in young black men. But I have daughters, and they feel the same way. They feel like the drive-by is not necessarily patrolling, but watching. Right? It's not, you're not looking after me, you're looking at me. But that out engagement, that walking in the community, I would probably respond. And I really think young people are the same as well. They would respond better to a policeman walking up, hey, what's going on, y'all, as opposed to the drive-by and the look, or the drive-by and the wave. Because I think it plants a seed of, I'm being watched, not I'm trying to build community like the walk-up would. So yeah, kudos. I would love to see more of that. You see it on Delmar. I'll be honest. Ooh, I don't want to go there. But you see it on Delmar. You know, you go down to the Loop, and there are officers. Yeah, they drive through, but they're out walking and talking in the community. So I think it makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. All right, like I said, you need that other piece, because we can't be everywhere at all times, right? I mean, people really, in theory, want us to be on every street corner to just combat everything, but those drive-bys are just so important. Even though I know how it makes people feel, those are definitely important, because you got something that may be getting ready to happen, and then they see their car and like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do it. Right.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think with like you said, getting to know the people and the driver. I think one of the things that really that I don't like about, especially in the smaller municipalities, that they had to go because they were so underfunded. They had to go to the ticket mandates and writing tickets for every little thing. And I think for me,
Ooh.
I think that's one of the things. Even if you're not doing anything wrong, that's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a cop. It's like, man, is my shoestrings tied? Is my grass too high?
Man,
It's like there's something they're going to be able to find, and
Man.
that's where the. But if that, I don't think if that was the case where you guys came through, and I know my gutter hanging off, I don't have the money to fix it, and technically you can't give me a ticket. So I'm thinking about, oh crap, this is giving me a little bit of anxiety. I'm getting those butterflies in my stomach every time I see a cop, not because I'm a criminal of just overtly breaking the law, but because I'm a criminal of poverty, right? I don't have sometimes the income and the revenue to do the things that I need to do. And now all of a sudden I become what sometimes you guys would consider a nuisance because, you know, my house isn't up to code, or my tags ain't all the way right on my car, and I'm just trying to get to work. And I've seen municipalities where 70% of their budget comes from writing those little tickets and stuff like that. Where do you guys stand on that, you personally? But I know there is a need for that, but it seems like we became a real, in some of these municipalities, it became a real, that became their professional thing, like writing tickets for every little thing. And I'm like, I know you see that dude that sell dope across the street every day, like I see him, but you ain't bothering him. But you over here want to because my inspection expired now, right? Where do you stand on that kind of stuff?
So you hit the nail on the head. You know, at one time that was a part of the culture. Unfortunately, a lot of times police officers are used as tools, right? So you can have an officer that pretty much, you know, writing tickets is not really his thing, right? But you may have folks above him outside of police work saying, hey, you guys need to do this. You guys need to do that, right? We need more over here. We need more over there. And so what are they going to do, right? They're like, well, I got to get out here and do it, which is very unfortunate. I mean, you could pretty much pull any police officer aside and ask him, do you really like writing tickets with people gutter hanging up? They're going to be like, man, I don't care about that. Most of them. Now they'll say, you know what, it should look presentable because you want to bring your property values up. You want your neighborhood to look nice. But if that's my driving force to just get out here and just write tickets because your gutter's hanging off, they'll be like, no, we have probably more important things to do. Like you said, that drug dealer over here. But they did pass, I don't know if you all are familiar with SB 5. SB 5 bill, that came down and it limited the number of revenue that you can get from tickets. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it can now only be like 15% of. I would have to look at it again. It's been a while, but yeah, municipalities and all that, they can only get so many a percentage of that.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna call none out, Charlotte. St. John.
You're
what's crazy, right? So you know they have to, you know, come up with other ways. But now on the flip side of that, and you know, again, I'm just, you know, showing both sides of the coin.
Because I know that in reality there are some chronic repeat offenders who are just, they are maliciously breaking the law because of their political stance or personal ideologies and things of that nature. And it's hard to separate the two. But when I started to look into that, and I was like, man, certain municipalities are getting 70, 80% of their revenue from, and it was from passers through of those communities.
Yeah,
Like,
because people that live there already know.
Right,
people that live there
right.
already know.
Don't go down that
So they sitting back waiting on me to come through with my tail light out, right?
Right.
And it's like, man, that to me
Yeah.
created this another layer of, especially as a Black man, I got the layer of, I know that police brutality is a real thing for me, right? I know that certain officers are waiting on me to, quote, resist, right? So that they can have an opportunity. But then on top of that, it's like, even if I'm not resisting, then they want to shackle me economically and literally write me 10 tickets at one time. Because
and that's what I was going to talk about. You're right, because I preach discretion a lot, and police officers have a lot of discretion, right? Even with them saying to do this or that. So yeah, I mean, it's if you want to write somebody expired plate ticket, well then why you write them for failure to register? All these things, that's pretty much the same ticket. You know what I'm saying? So if you do that, let them ride. So you have this one section that are like, yeah, go get them. On the flip side of that, you have another section that we get complaints all the time, because they're like, man, we see people riding around with temp tags that's 2 years old. They hit my car. They didn't have insurance. So you know what I'm saying? So we have to find that happy medium, because I would be mad too if somebody hit my car and didn't have insurance. I mean, a lot of officers get mad because, again, it's that human factor. They're like, well, damn, I got to register my car. Why they ain't have to register? Just do away with it at all. So you have that dichotomy that you have to deal with. But it's just being a good person, man, and having discretion. I mean, if I pull a car over and the young lady has her kids, and I mean, and obviously she's going through hard times, why should I write her 5 or 6 tickets? I'm really just writing her 5 or 6 warrants. You know what I mean? Because she ain't gonna be able to take care of them. You know what I mean? Now I may say, you know what, you need to get this taken care of, because the next person might load you up. But you know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, again, we have to get our priorities together. If you buy a $60,000 car, you need to know that your sales tax is coming in 30 days. If you can't pay it, you may want to buy a cheaper car. Like,
oh man,
but you know what?
Sounds like he getting into this income tax balling situation that's about to happen out here in these streets. It's about to go down, Cap. It's about to go down.
But you know what though? 2 things. They passed the law. They roll the sales tax into payments now. And secondly, but I'll say this. And I don't think I told you this story, Captain Clay, but the discretion part of it, because I did tell you that I used to be queen of the warrants, and at one point I had 13 different warrants from 7 different municipalities, and I was driving downtown, and I was on my birthday, and I did have my kids with me, and he pulled me over because I almost sideswiped him. Downtown is confusing, but a whole nother thing. And so he said, he read my stuff. He said, you got blah 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 and blah blah blah. I was like, I went, old Negro, yes, sir. And this was a Black guy. And he said, you know what? I ain't even gonna write you no ticket. He said, you wanna know why? And I said, because it's my birthday. He was like, hell no. Because you ain't been going to court. What am I write you another ticket for? You're not going to court. I'm gonna get off downtown. This is not for you. Don't drive downtown no more. You're gonna tear stuff up. It's not for you. You know what I'm saying? But he used his discretion just jokingly, because I was like, I couldn't afford to go, so I wasn't. But he jokingly saw that and used that discretion. And I thank God I eventually got it all together. Thank you, Jesus. Got it all together. But it was in that moment where I have had cops say, you know what, get this together. I've had cops spin the wheel and be like, ding, 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 ding. Oh, you could take that ride. But then I've had others that have been like, you know what? Don't let me see you. To go up the other street. I'm right here at this stop sign every morning. Quit coming down this street, because I'm gonna keep pulling you. But but I get it though, because I have been a person that's been hit by somebody with no insurance. And so I like you said, there's 2 sides of every coin. So we get it. I think it's about the responsibility of owning a vehicle. I just think that maybe if there were a way to do some different things with people who are not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right. I'm seeing paper tags from 2018. You're like, dang, how are you still on the road? So yeah, we just have to
So
find
the SB5 really changed the game. So in the way the courts are ran, you can miss court several times now before they even think about issuing you a warrant, right? And you can go before the judge and say, hey, I can't pay. They're offering community service and all these other things. So yeah, they've definitely made a change and overhaul the court system.
Yeah. So let's transition the conversation a little bit. Because we know that we have that kind of stuff, but then we also know that, it's the advent of the camera phone, the cell phone, with the video and Facebook Live in conjunction. Because let's be clear, we are all Black people. This ain't nothing new, right? The only newness about it is the world gets to see it, right? That's the only newness about it. How has been the approach to either training, funding or understanding of the relationships that need to be had in the community space in the wake of a George Floyd, in the wake of some of these other national televised cases? We had Mike Brown here, right here in Ferguson, not long ago. Right, from your perspective and standpoint, this is two parts.
Okay.
The department side of it, what are they doing? Right, I guess it's three parts. Right, what is the local city government saying about these things, and what are they trying to do to improve relations? What is the department stand on improving these relations? And then we know that you guys bleed blue, right? But there's also another dynamic in there with Black officers right now. What are you guys as Black officers saying? Okay, here's how we take control of this from our standpoint to be a better representation of the entire force in our community. So if you can kind of talk us through some of the things that's going on in the city level, the government official level, the actual department head level, and then as Black officers, what are you guys doing, that we may not be privy to kind of combat some of this aggression towards Black men in particular? But we've also seen some of our sisters get slammed to the pavement and get choked out just as well. So walk us through some of the things that we may not know that's happening to improve these things, and what we could see in the near future as a result of some of the initiatives that are coming down from the top.
Thank you for those questions. I had to write them down because you kept going, so I wanted to make sure.
He ran the stop sign.
You ran the stop sign. No, so when you talk about your government officials, at heart, I believe they want to do the right thing, and I'm not bashing them by any means. A lot of times what you have to deal with when you're dealing with elected officials is some have agendas, right? And those agendas can kind of cloud what really needs to be done. So you have some that are like, let's do it. Like it's from the heart. We need to get this stuff done. And then you have some that are like, how is that going to make me look? I mean, am I going to block this because it's going to make me look like this and show me in this light? I can't be a part of that, even though I know it's right. I really can't be seen with that because of my base or my constituents. So that's always an ongoing thing. But I think that it's gotten so much better. And that's why it's so important, man, for folks to get out here and vote. I mean, we say it all the time and you hear it all the time, but people, you have to vote because we have to get people in these positions that can affect this change that you want to see. I know some people hear it so much, they probably block it out, but I will say it every day. You need to go vote and get people in that can make these decisions, because protesting is great. I think that you should be able to express yourself like that. That's definitely a tool that is needed. But to make a real change, it has to come from the inside. right? So I need somebody that's on that board. I need that mayor. I need this person to be able to draft this legislation that can get passed, and we can make that change. So again, I'm not knocking the protest. We need it, but we have to get in the game. I mean, even like with Prosecutor Bell, you know, he's the first black to hold this position, right? And so I've seen changes that he was able to make from the inside that positively affect our community that people don't see day to day, right? But if you get into this situation, you'd be like, oh, thank you, Jesus. He did that.
Right.
You know, one thing, day one, he did away with the cash bail system. It was the cash bail. You know what I mean? Because he's like, it makes no sense that you have to sit in jail because you can't pay a $300 ticket for a week, but then a murderer with means can post $1 million bail and be out on the street. It makes no sense, right? So let's look at other ways to do that, because a lot of times people want to use bail as punishment, and it's not punishment. You know, they say, "Oh no, you just give them $1 million." No, bail is just a keeper of you to be through there through the whole judicial system, right? That's all bail is set for, not to punish you, right? So I think as far as our elected officials, it has gotten so much better, and especially being on this side of the house that I'm working now, I get to see both sides. I see the street and I see the inner workings of things that are going on, you know, in the city and the county for that matter. And I'm really inspired and feeling great about the direction that those conversations are going. When you talk about the police departments, training is never a bad thing, right? And that's with any profession. Like the more you learn, like knowledge is power, no matter what the topic is. You can't help to get better at your job if you have more training, or if you do it more. The more shows you guys do, the better you get at it, right? The more people you interview, the better interviewing you get, right? And so that's very important. And so I think that's a necessity for law enforcement when you're going to talk about making those changes. The only the other side of that though is you have to remember that we're still human, and you can't take the human factor out of anything, right? So we can. So there needs to be a little wiggle room, so to speak, for officers, because even though we can go through 100 hours a week in training, you get into a certain situation, you like, man, like the dude's shooting at me, or like he's going from a gun. Like, I mean, what do I do? You know what I mean? I've been on scenes where officers could have clearly, and I believe would have been justified, and I would have spoke up to the high heavens on shooting someone, right? In self-defense. And they didn't. And afterwards, I'm like, why didn't you? You know, you could have gotten shot. Like, and they're like, the first thing I thought about, Cap, was going to jail, my family, like, because I done shot this man. Like, and that could be dangerous for us as well. Right. So I think it's very, very important. And one thing that I think can make a huge change with these excessive force cases that you see, a lot of the misconduct that you see, this is just my opinion, is that we need to address officer trauma, because that's a very important piece, because the citizens, they're traumatized as well. If you have a bad interaction with an officer on a traffic stop or whatever, Cortez, that don't go away so easy, man. You know what I mean? Especially when you know you haven't done anything wrong. This dude was just being an a-hole to you. And now the next officer that stops you, you probably gonna have a little attitude with this guy because of what the other guy did, right? And he may be a deacon in the church, you know, and come up to talk to you. The officers, it's the same thing, because we see the worst of the worst. We've had people, and I know myself, I've been in shooting situations. I've had resistings on the side of the road with people, right? And on top of that, we're the human piece that we're talking about. We may have just had an argument with our husbands or wives or boyfriend or girlfriend, or our kids in school tripping, right? Blow up, and then we get to work, and our first call is a domestic violence call. And now we have to come to your house and address your situation when I could have just been in the car arguing with my girlfriend, and I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta call, I gotta go in his house. Now I have to go in here and figure this out. And then I get back in the car, and Michelle, you know how y'all women know, I done got 25 missed calls because you keep calling. Even though I just said I was going on the call, because you gotta have the last word. But you know, those things are real, and they need to be addressed. But the way officers handle it, a lot of times we just internalize it, right? And that's never good, right? So and then we have this macho thing, like, are we good? Like, we don't need, no, we're not good. So I think that getting help should be mandatory, and I think it'll wipe away that, you know, Cortez got to go see the doctor, man. Well, yep, but you got to go next Tuesday. So it don't really matter once you take that away. And even if you want to get in there and just talk about the Cardinals, whatever, but that needs to be addressed, because it hits different when, you know, when citizens leave their homes. For the most part, they're expecting to come home, right, and go out for a day. But when officers leave home, we hope we come home, right, because that first interaction with the public could be our last, right? So I think that if we
real quick, Captain Farmer. You talked about talking to people. This is a great time for us to shout out our sponsor, Open Arms Wellness, healing mind and body, ladies and gentlemen. And I said at the beginning of the show, you don't have to be sick to get better. This is what people are missing. You do not have to be sick to get better. So check out openarmswellness.com. Give them a call at 314-329-4326 and tell them Cortez Hustle and Michelle A sent you. So I know you had a long 3-part question because I kept rambling, but you got us good on the first 2 pieces. But now, and we got a couple questions from our viewers as well. But now, as a Black man on the police force, we've seen it, like during the protests, right? Why all the protesters got to go and find the brother and get all up in his face and be like, "You sell out, you Uncle Tom, you just gonna sit back and let, like, I'm supposed to leave my job and get thrown out on the street." But I know it's not an easy position to just be a cop, period. Right. But then with a lot of this unrest, to be a Black cop adds another level on top of that. What are you guys doing amongst yourselves to be better for us and still protect yourself at the same time?
Well, it can definitely be frustrating, man, and very, very stressful, because you're like, man, I'm out here for all of the right reasons. Like, the people out there don't know about all the programs that we have or what we do off duty. They're just mad and they're venting right here because you're in their face and you're a part of it, right? So that's where that trauma piece comes in that needs to be addressed. So, you know, we have to do things off duty to just get that off of us, and whether it's hooping or just going to hang out to have a drink and chopping it up. Excuse me, it's so important to have a great family base, man, that's very supportive of you, and great friends. Surround yourself with great friends, and just know, as long as you're doing the right thing, that's all that matters. I mean, we know that this is a tough job. We knew it going into it. So to me, if you're not built for it, you need to get out of it. But that doesn't mean that you don't have those times and it doesn't weigh heavy on you. So yeah, that's where I think that trauma piece comes in, where we need to just sit down and talk about it a lot of times and just get it all out and figure out how we can continue to do our jobs, you know, better and help the community.
Yeah, I think you guys have it from both sides. When it comes to talking to someone, it's like, how do I serve my community with my training, but at the same time uphold the law that I'm trying to uphold? Ray, you shot that boy, so I'm coming to get you. Like at the end of the day, all the evidence says you shot that boy, so I gotta come and get you and take you through the process. Now, I'm not saying that you did it. I'm saying the evidence appears that you've given us enough cause to say, hey, we got to run you through the process. Period. Like,
Come on.
Follow these right here. Come on.
Right. So real quick,
like stop playing.
So real quick, I know we running out of time, but and we want to get our audience on as well. But psychologically, you hit on it a little bit, and this is something we talk about a lot on the show, is the mental wellness and well-being. Can you briefly speak to, when you're training or in training, how much goes into the psychological process that you train cops on about mental wellness, and how much goes into that at the training base? Because I think a lot of what we see when cops go rogue, somebody wasn't right when they joined the force because they was carrying things from high school, probably like a Normandy person. But anyway, but they carry stuff from high school, and I'm not going to be bullied anymore, so I'm going to go get a badge and a gun, and now I'm the new sheriff in town. How much goes into the psychological part in training?
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not like a whole lot. I mean, because it's kind of like, how can you train for that? Like, you know what I mean? So my thing is, because you can't prevent everything from happening, right?
Testing.
So my thing is, what do you do when something happens, right? You need to address it, and it needs to be addressed swiftly. George Floyd, for example, right? If that man had 17 incidents, 17,
right?
To me, why is he still on the street? Why is he still with this department? So I have no other choice but to blame them for that, because you're allowing this to happen. You're enabling this man. Every time he got off of something, it gave him more juice, right? To feel like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I'm Teflon Don over here, right? And then unfortunately, somebody had to lose their life behind it. So my thing is, when something happens, we need to address it right away, whether it's getting them the help that they need, whether it's termination, whatever the case may be. We have to address it. So we have to start to change that culture, and it starts from the top down. I'm a big sports guy, so I believe the team takes on the characteristics of its coach, right? With that coach being the chief. So if you're allowing these things to happen in your department, that's what's going to happen.
Love it. My man Mark says we might need a part 2. He's already thinking that we're running out of time, but I do have a question from audience. So Antoinette says, hey, what does the interaction with other police forces look like, local and abroad? How does this help in the implementation of various things in the community?
Well, I mean, we interact a lot with other agencies. We have to have shared communication, because crime is not just in one spot. These trends hit regionally, and like you said, abroad, whether it's policies. I know that they have certifications now, where you can get international certification, where everybody is on the same page with their policies, with their procedures, the way they do things. That's the CALIA accreditation. So I don't know if you ever seen it on the side of cars, police cars, or if they internationally accredited. Well, that's like a 3 or 4 year process that you have to go through. And they come to your department, you have to lay everything out. They go through everything, all your policies. They do ride-alongs. They have community meetings. They bring people in and they tell them about your police department and things like that. So we work a lot together, actually, with local and agencies here and abroad as well.
Gotcha. I love that, and I know. Being in Wellston, growing up, I remember when St. Louis County took over. Wellston had his own police department at one time. Then St. Louis County took over, and then my good buddy over there, Nate Griffin, is now mayor over there.
Yeah,
he brought in like young gun, right? Young gun. Like he came through and was like, no, we're gonna bring in and join the North County Co-op and really try to leverage, because I think that's another thing. And we got about 6 minutes, but I want you to speak to this. A lot of the small municipalities are trying to maintain their independence, but they don't have the resources, especially those predominantly Black municipalities like a Wellston. They don't have the same resources as for instance, a Charlotte, which is half the size with half the population, but because you have so many homeowners, they got strong tax base, right? So I think it was a good move for them to join the co-op and leverage the resources of a lot of small municipalities to maintain their independence, but without having to have the burden of staffing a police force and all that kind of stuff. Can you speak to that real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I was a part of that. I worked for the co-op, and Prosecutor Bell was the city attorney at the time. So we met with Griffin, who I gave 42 in high school. We'll talk about that another time. That's my man. But yeah, we were on the ground floor of building the co-op. That's where Wellston was the first city that we partnered with, and then it it branched out from there, where we ended up with 8 municipalities. Sometimes, like I said, with elected officials, they don't want to give up that little piece of the kingdom. Right. So they feel like, well, if I do this, then I won't have this control. I can't tell officers to go do this, or this. Right. It's not about the well-being of the community at whole, a whole community. So yeah, it's been great, man. And we really turned things around in Wellston and the other communities like Pine Lawn and all of them that we police, because you got quality policing. Yeah. Right. Because no matter if you live in Wellston or Chesterfield, even though they have more means, we still should be able to get the same quality of policing. To me, that doesn't mean I shouldn't be as safe. And I think that's important that we change the way public safety looks. If I can just talk about that really fast.
Yeah.
So like, even from our office, right, from Prosecutor Bell's office, like what he's done to change the landscape of things that have been done, right? So prior to him coming in, under the previous administration, that guy that was in there. So he's issued 41% more domestic violence cases. He's issued 58% more homicide cases, and he's issued 90% more assault cases, right? On the flip side of that, which is great, because again, if you're committing these violent crimes, you need to go sit down. Like, it's no way that you should be out running the streets. I don't care what nobody say. You need to go sit down. On the flip side of that, he's huge in diversion for the low-level, non-violent people that just need help, right? A lot of times people just they need help. I mean, addiction is a disease. Mental health disorder is a disease. Like, locking these people up is not going to cure that, right? So, the recidivism rates in Missouri are at 45%. The recidivism rates in the U.S. after 10 years is 80%. So in his diversion program, which offers wraparound services, housing, employment, all of these things, because if you don't have those, you're just going to go right back to doing what you were doing. And over the 1,500 people that are in this program right now, it's only at an 8% recidivism rate. And that is amazing. And that's covering both sides of the house, right? So public safety is more than just taking everybody to jail, which some people need to go. You need to address these underlying issues that are causing people to do this over here. And I think that we've done a great job at that, and they're going to continue to do it.
That's huge, man. And I'm glad that you were able to break that down before we got out of here, because that's a holistic approach to policing and healing the communities. Get the violent guys out of here, and those who are stumbling and making mistakes, get them help. Even our youth, right? You could really derail a young person's entire life by not intervening as a human and saying, listen, you made a mistake here, man. I'm gonna talk to your parents, get your ish together, and stay on this straight and narrow, versus, oh, you broke a window in an abandoned building, let's take you to juvenile. Right? All of a sudden, that puts this person on a path, because now every time another cop runs his name, I see a criminal. I don't see a happy-go-lucky kid who got a powerful 90-mile-an-hour fastball and he was just testing it out on this vacant building, right? So
it's common sense. It's common sense, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming through, man. We've got to go. There's another show that comes on right after ours, so we got a hard stop, man. But we appreciate everything that you're doing. If you can get the good prosecuting attorney Bell to stop by the St. Louis Hustle podcast, we would love that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that the quality of the show will go way down, man. I'm way better, but I.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, until we talk to y'all next time, get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up.